We are a company that provides surface protection technologies or solutions for surface protection. How this fits in with the discussion about boiler availability is we're trying to help you manage the effects of erosion, corrosion inside your boiler to get ahead of those effects and establish preventative maintenance programs. So we have a long history working in boilers. The company's US based, but we've been operating here in Europe also for the last 20 years, but now 40-year-old business. Always had a history working in boilers of all different types, all different fuels, from coal obviously, PC-fired, CFBs, heavy fuel oil, waste, biomass, MBM, etc. We understand we have to evaluate a boiler, understand what the condition is, look at how you operate, your philosophies in terms of operation, what your key drivers are in terms of creating value from that asset. And with that information, we can help look at what we can do to help you improve the performance. The first talk was given this morning from the environmental agency talked about the design of the boiler fundamentally sets that efficiency, but we can help improve that by maintaining the boiler at those design conditions for longer by reducing things like fouling and preventing erosion, corrosion of those pressure parts. The focus of the session today is to look at how do we reduce downtime. Well, where does the downtime come from? Looking at across the industry, boilers are the most frequent reason or failure in a boiler or requirement to refurbish a boiler is the most frequent reason for that downtime, and tube leaks is a key part of that, and fouling. So helping to reduce those two things in terms of the operation of the unit will be very important to improving that uptime of the unit and reducing that downtime. And it's not just the cost of the service you're going to use, but obviously from a plant's point of view, unplanned outages are very expensive and have a knock-on impact on the performance of the asset. So IGS, what do we offer? We do on-site application of surface protection technologies with a turnkey basis. So we would come to site with our equipment and materials, we do the surface preparation, and we do the application of the system we're installing. We use high-velocity thermal spray processes to deposit a high-nobility metallic cladding onto that surface. So we upgrade the surface metallurgy to an alloy which is going to be resistant to that operating environment. So it will no longer corrode, it won't oxidize, you won't get corrosive attack of those pressure parts causing metal wastage. On top of that, we have high erosion resistant materials. So again, we've worked in all different types of boilers. So CFBs, for example, CFBs burning a combination of coal, but also refuse-derived fuel, RDF, where they have this combination of high erosion, but also corrosion from the chemical elements in that fuel. And there we have dual systems we can install. So we put a corrosion barrier down, and on top of that, a high abrasion-resistant material. Some of the key benefits of this process is the speed of application. We can mobilize multiple technicians to work in the boiler at the same time. We can do the areas of the boiler that are the concern. So we can focus on those locations where you have the biggest issues in terms of metal wastage or tube thinning in that boiler. So typically, we speak to the client in advance, look at the inspection documentation, understand where the critical parts are in that boiler, where they require help in order to maintain that process, that pressure part integrity, and to prevent that requirement for replacement, which can obviously be costly and take time, particularly in the outages. Though it's a thermal spray process, we're depositing a metallic cladding. For the substrate, it is effectively a cold process. There is no thermal stress, we don't cause any distortion, there's no risk of metallurgical change of the substrate. So it's easily done in the unit with or without water, for example, in the water walls themselves. We also have a range of ceramic coatings. These are typically used in combination with the high velocity thermal spray, and these are to change the surface condition. So when we talk about fouling and cleaning processes, if we can put a surface on top of that water wall, which first of all prevents that oxidation, prevents that generation of corrosive media which can catch that fouling, but also we put a ceramic coating on top which gives you a glass-like finish, then it helps to reduce the adhesion of that slagging to the surface. It means you won't have as big a build-up over time. It'll fall off earlier. Or if you have a cleaning system installed, it'll improve the efficiency of that cleaning system in that process. And then we also have other services we can provide, which come from our Tube Tech division, which are offline cleaning services. Slightly different, but also there to get that equipment back to its as-new condition. So if you're looking at, your superheater bundles or further down, those areas where you can get the aggressive fouling, we can come in during the outage and help clean those areas to remove all of that residue. We focus very much on long-term relationships, so looking at the life cycle cost of the solution. We will come back on every opportunity to inspect an application. We can do a direct measurement of the cladding that we've installed to see if the conditions changed, if there is some degradation, if refurbishment is required, or look at different areas in the boiler to protect. We work across the world in boilers, in Europe, in the waste to energy sector specifically. We did our first applications, I think, in 2015, 2016. Here in the UK, we're now in, I think, a dozen boilers working in a variety of waste streams, whether that's waste itself, household waste, but also biomass, waste wood, etc. We bring a lot of experience. Within the organisation, we have subject matter experts from the point of view of boiler operation, and also obviously from the point of view of the surface protection technologies that we install. I think we can say we work closely with a number of the OEMs. We do both brownfield intervention, which I think is the most common application, to help operators manage challenges with corrosion and erosion during the utilisation or the operation of the unit. But also we worked in greenfield sites as well, where high velocity thermal spray has been used as an alternative to, for example, the more traditional 625 weld overlay to protect the tubes from new in that boiler. We do applications onto the black carbon, but also we apply onto or on top of the 625 weld overlay to extend the life of the panels with an overlay already installed. And that's to prevent, again, panel replacement in boilers, particularly in units where there's a high requirement for uptime. So looking for that, high 90s in terms of availability of the asset. So I wanted to keep it very brief so that we have some time for discussion and questions and answers. But we are obviously here today. We'll be downstairs on the stand with the Technique group. Can take any questions, and obviously you can go to our website. We have a lot of information there to share. But fundamentally, our purpose is to prevent degradation of your pressure parts in the boiler and improve that surface condition to help optimize the performance and the uptime of the unit. So, thank you very much, and I'll be very happy to take some questions.